today I'm going to be reviewing hopefully this delicious Boss Iced Coffee Rainbow Mountain Blend Signature Blend Iced Latte, while I talk about the allegory of Plato's The Cave, which I've only just recently discovered, and I've discovered by reading it that is basically the archetype for so many stories in human history. It is mind-blowing, and it says a lot about ourselves and who we are and how we judge people, and I'm going to do it while I'm having and reviewing this drink, this oddly sized drink. I've never seen a drink that is this size before. Whoop, don't smash it. It's 179 milliliters. How do you come to make a product that is 179 millimeters? Is one short of the ultimate score in darts of 180. It's 179 milliliters. Why? Suntory. I guess this is the boss. Hello, boss man. Since 1992. It's interesting. It's the Rainbow Mountain Blend Signature Blend Iced Coffee. 66 calories per can. And weirdly enough, I think I talked about it recently with the Farmers Union 600 milliliter carton of milk with 54 grams of sugar was a 3.5 health star rating. Bizarre. This here, which has 11.3 grams of sugar in its 179 mils, is a 1-star health rating. Riddle me this. How is that possible? It makes no sense to me whatsoever. But without further ado, I'll stop crapping on and I'll start reviewing this Boss Iced Coffee. So it's in a can. We've been reviewing cartons and plastic bottles. This one's in a can. I wonder if I can open it with one hand. Let's give it a go. Ooh, makes a nice sound. Oh, that makes some nice sounds. Nice sounds. I've never had this one before. Never ever. I've had Bosses before, which I haven't reviewed, but I will get to them at some stage in this channel. Boss Rainbow Mountain Blend Signature Blend Iced Coffee. I think this is the one that's the most popular in Japan. I'm just gonna read out what it's about. Boss Coffee Rainbow Mountain Blend is our famous blend in Japan, crafted primarily with Guatemalan rainbow mountain beans to create a uniquely balanced coffee. Coffee intensity 3 out of 5. Rainbow mountain beans quality certified by Anna Cafe. What does all that mean? This is a snazzy bloody drink. I think that's what it says. It's got gold, beautiful colors, all sorts of things happening on, and makes a nice sound. Now, I'm going to talk about Plato's The Cave and the allegory and the story behind it. But first, I'm going to have a sip and see what the first sip tastes like. Wish me luck. Interesting. That's interesting. There's a lot of coffee flavor in that one, but it's still sweet. It's still very sweet. It's interesting. It's the coffee and sugar are battling for supremacy here. That is interesting. That coffee intensity, which they rated, I said it's 3 out of 5, didn't they? Coffee intensity 3 out of 5. I'd say that's right on. I think whoever's judged that is good. I agree with that. Now I'm wondering if the reason this only gets a 1 health star rating is because milk is not one of the first few ingredients. It's coffee, water, coffee bean, coffee extract, and milk is 11% of this. Is only 11%. So I'm assuming that the health star ratings go up higher the more milk you have in your drink, which is interesting because milk is an interesting thing. So let's keep going here. So Plato's The Cave. Let's talk about that. So this is a story written by obviously the Greek philosopher back in, I think it's 2,500 years ago, 500 BC. there, give or take a decade or a century here or there. And the thing about this is obviously that Plato wrote it, but it's all based on the teachings of his I guess his hero, his teacher, his lecturer, I guess, to a degree, the head of philosophy, the inventor of philosophy, Socrates, who didn't write anything down. So what Plato did is that he followed Socrates around Greece, ancient Greece, and Socrates just yapped. Yeah, he had a massive yap session, as my kids would say, a massive yap session. And he'd go around asking people just questions after questions after questions and trying to get to, the truth of who humanity is and who a person was, and just ask questions. It's the Socratic method of questioning, where you're not judgmental. You just ask question upon question upon question. You try to unravel people's thoughts and maybe their misconceptions and try to get them to come to their version of truth by themselves, without you telling them what to do. They think for themselves, because it's important to think for yourself. And I think this is a pretty bloody good coffee. It's got a bit of dark burn undertones, I feel. Interesting. So yeah, the cave is, the story is that Socrates was telling a story like this. Plato wrote it down, and it's a conversation. It's written as a conversation between Socrates and Plato's brother, I believe. I've just forgotten his name. It's like Glaucon or something like that. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But the story is that Socrates, as Plato writes, is telling this story about, imagine there was a cave that was deep, dark underground, and there were prisoners shackled up in that. Like they had shackles on their arms and their legs and on their head, and so they couldn't move their head, and they were just locked in this position. So throw away all the things about all the other things around it, just imagining that there's these prisoners in this cave, and they can't see anything, but there's a wall and there's a further wall, and there's a fire in between. And the fire is flickering, and it's casting shadows of the things that people who are probably the prison guards, for example, are carrying past. They might be carrying past pots or food and stuff. And because the prisoners can't see anything, they just see these shadows, and they start to make up what the meaning of these shadows are, what they might be. And it's a very grim life, obviously. Excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. Ooh! That mountain blend, it's getting to me. And so the story goes is that these characters who are in the ground in the dark, they can't perceive what's real and what's not real, but they start to make up in their mind what is real, which is the shadows. All they can see is the shadows, and they start to make up meanings for what these shadows might mean. They hear the voices of the prison guards, and because they can't see the prison guards. Maybe I should title this video about me sneezing a lot as well. So they can't see the prison guards, but they can hear the voices, but they don't know that there's prison guards there. They just assume that those voices are to do with the shadows of the objects, which they don't even realize the shadows. They think the shadows are real, the actual objects. So it's a very much a mind-bending idea. And so they're very much lost in their world, because they don't see much, they don't have a perception. And the thought is that one of these prisoners, we don't know how, it's like an Alfred Hitchcock film, all of a sudden things just happen and it all makes sense. One of these prisoners leaves the cave, and as they leave the cave, they walk past the fire, and they're first of all blinded by the fire because the fire's so bright. Everything's been in darkness. They're just seeing little bits of shadows and stuff, and now all of a sudden they're blinded by the light and can't see what it is at the start. But then you can start to see, those shadows aren't actually shadows. They're a refraction of the... Hang on, I'm just going to pause it for a second. Yes, sorry about that. It was just my wife calling, and when the wife calls, you answer, because she's the boss. So yes, the cave. So I'm talking about getting out of the cave. The guy's blinded by the fire, can't see, but then makes his way out into the world, and then out of the cave even brighter, because the sun is everywhere, and all of a sudden he just cannot see, stumbling out from the darkness into the light. And obviously it takes time. The eyes begin to adjust as my palate adjusts to this very highly caffeinated, delicious drink. It is really very good. So yeah, adjusting to the light, and then starts to see, obviously back in the cave, these shadows weren't the real things. They were very much a reflection of the world. And then out in the world, there's 3D things, and all of a sudden there's all these colors and there's all these amazing things. And then adjusting to the light, and then all of a sudden it gets night, and then you can adjust the eyes, can see the stars, can see these sort of things. So your mind is just sort of starting to expand in so many different ways, expanding, just going, oh my God, there's so much more to my life. I didn't really understand that where I was earlier in the cave wasn't reality. That was my old reality, but my new reality is so much more colorful, so much more depth, so much more life to it. So I need to go back and tell the guys I was hanging out with before, literally hanging out who are still chained up. I need to go back and take my newfound knowledge and bring it back to them. And so the guy goes back into the cave, and where once before in the darkness he could see, now because he's been out in the light, out in the brightness, seeing things in 3D world, hearing things and understanding the world in a much deeper method, go back into the darkness now completely blind because it's too dark. The eyes haven't adjusted yet. So stumbling around into the cave and seeing the other prisoners still shackled up, who still can't perceive anything more than the shadows flickering on the wall, and trying to explain there's so much more to the world. What we used to talk about, it's not reality. It's completely different. There's so much more to life. And then of course the people who are caved, like, what are you talking about? You're a liar. You've lost your mind. You're crazy. This is absolutely the truth. What you're talking about there, you've lost your mind. You're defective. It doesn't make any sense. And if they had the opportunity, they probably would try and jump this guy. And what the story is sort of talking about, I think, is that a lot of us are kept in our own little bubble here, and we don't expand that bubble. And if we do expand that bubble and we start to discover new things, it's frightening for other people, for you to expand what you know about the world. And I feel like that's a way of the world at the moment, is that we're all on social media all the time. We're all so confused. We're all so much, we don't know what's real and what's not real. But if we just go out there, the only thing that we can control are our own thoughts and feelings. No matter how much you learn, how much you start to understand things, if you try and ram things down people's throats, if you try and ram new ideas and thoughts down people's throats, they're not going to like you. They're going to be hateful of you, because they're going to feel like you think you're superior to you. You think you know more than me, do you? And that's not the way to be. You need to do it in a gently way, which is the Socratic method. That was what Socrates would do, is that he wouldn't tell people his opinion. He would say, have you considered this? What do you think of this? And just get people, and gently, people come to their own realization. They come out of their own cave of their own volition, rather than being forced out. Like if he had tried the guy who'd left and had come back, try to drag these people out, they'd be like kicking and screaming, go, no, I don't want to go out. You're a liar. You're a heretic. But the other way is gently do it. And that's the way to get people to sort of consider new things. And that's, as a human species, I think we're all a little bit lost at the moment, because we have too much information. We don't know what's real, what's not real. But what I do know is real is that this is a very good coffee. And I'm going to shove it down my throat right now. And I'm going to start to consider the rating that I would give it. If I was in a cave and I'd never seen light and I saw this bright blend, I think my mind would be blown by the colors, by the sounds, by the smell. Oh, it does have a very strong coffee smell, because a lot of iced coffees don't really have much of a coffee smell. They're really just a lot of sugar and some milk, whereas this is actually more like a coffee with a dash of milk, but also quite a lot of sugar, to be fair. And what is good about it, I actually really like this thing. Very intense coffee flavor when you first start drinking it, because you get used to it as you drink it, and as you talk about allegories of the cave and the human condition and understanding each other on a greater dimension than just as reality, it really starts to blend down and become a little bit softly. So I think this is actually excellent. And I have noticed that my iced coffee drinking with all the milk, they're too big. This 179 mils, where is it? The 179 mils is actually a pretty good size. Not too much milk. I wonder how much caffeine is in it. Does it say? It doesn't say. So I'm old, so now I have to read things like this so I can focus. It doesn't actually say how much coffee is in it. It says it's 4.3% coffee bean. So this is I'll read the ingredients. Coffee, 82%, which is water, brewed coffee, 43%. Water, what? Coffee bean, 4.3%. Coffee extract, 0.7%. Milk, 11%. Sugar, milk solids, 0.5%. Oh, this is my favorite. Acidity regulator, 500. That's a great acidity regulator. Sodium caseinate, milk, what? Emulsifier 473, and flavors. What are these mythological flavors? Aren't all of those things flavors? How can you say, well, I was looking for the tea, looking for the salt, I saw some sugar, and then I saw flavors. And so I just poured some flavors into my drink. I poured some flavors. Like, how can you say flavors as an ingredient? Maybe that's why it's 1-star rated, because that is absolute insanity. But it is still very good. And look at the details there. I like the details there. If you can see that there. Some nice little Japanese right in there. Bit of heritage ticking of the box, which is excellent. 66 calories per can. Rainbow Mountain Beans quality. Primo. Can. Steel. Recyclable. 100% recyclable. Well, you can put it into a recycling bin, and whether it gets recycled or shipped off to somewhere or put in a landfill, I don't know. But at least you can feel good that you feel like you've recycled something. So very good. I've almost finished it. Listen to that. There's a little bit left. Let's knock it off and then let's give it a rating. So I gave it Nippy's 9.1. I'm not a big coffee drinker. I like iced coffee. So I'm going to say, because usually I like the sugar, I've got a very, 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 very sweet tooth. And that sweet tooth has led to a lot of headaches, a lot of stomach troubles. And maybe this is the problem with the issue and why I can't see life clearly and why I have so many moments where I'm like lost. I don't know what's up, what's down, or what's a shadow, what's a flame, what's an actual object, what's a voice. I don't know. But maybe I'm racing off my nut now. I feel like I'm speaking really quick. I think there's quite a lot of caffeine in here because I am Primo Chocodero. This is a lot better than Farmers Union. Nippies, I think the Nippies yesterday, or how many days ago, it's just too big. This is a good size. I'm going to go 9.16 out of 10, which you can round up to 9.2. That's very good. I don't understand how that is 1-star health rated. That's just, it's water and coffee with two teaspoons of sugar. I think about 12 grams, about 6 grams in a teaspoon of sugar. It's flash brewed. And I flash 2 thumbs up. It's an excellent drink. Thank you very much to the Suntory Boss Coffee people for sponsoring me. Not sponsoring me. If you'd like to sponsor me, hit me up, DM me, slide into my DMs, and I will say anything you want if you give me money. Suntory Boss Iced Coffee dudes. Excellent work. 9.16 out of 10 is excellent. I highly recommend it. As I say, because it's smaller than the usual Bosses, I think I'll get to reviewing it. But I wonder if this is a limited edition type arrangement, or I'm not sure, because it is a lot of different design styles on this. I think it's over-designed, to be honest. I guess too many elements. But I like the glass. I like the metalness of this. There's something about it. Metal Gear Solid. What a great game that was when I was a kid. Well, anyway. Signature Blend Iced Coffee Cut. Signature Blend Iced Latte, 9.16 out of 10. It's excellent. Give it a go. I don't think it's going to mess with your brain too much. Maybe you want your brain messed with. I'm not sure. I'm not you. Only you are you, and only you are the master of your own cave. See? Full circle. Enjoy your day. And if you don't enjoy your day, have a nice coffee, forget about it, and listen to the beat of your hand.